They are going off to the duck pond after Easter dinner. So I have a food forest, a new food forest that I'm making, a medicinal herb garden filled with rare, exotic, and different herbs that you probably haven't heard of in most gardens, and a vegetable garden. I have chickens, I'm going to have goats this year, and I have ducks. So how do I afford all of that? It can be really expensive, but not the way that I do it. I like to save money because we are on a one-income household, basically. My husband works a warehouse job and we live far below the poverty level. Not that we would even notice because our quality of life is so high. We enjoy everything about what we have and we are so grateful for everything we have and just think that we are beyond blessed. Even though on a monetary level, we might not be as blessed as a lot of other people. I think that I am more blessed than I could have ever deserved. So I am thankful for what I have, but I also want to develop all of this as much as I possibly can into something that's lush, vibrant, fruitful, and something that's not just going to feed my family, but is going to be a joy to take care of, easy to take care of, and then is also going to help keep my family healthy with things like the medicinal garden, and then also eating good, healthy food as well. So how do I do that on a one-income household, living far below the poverty level? How do I get it started? How did I get it to start growing? How did I plant it? And how do I have all this stuff in order to make all the stuff work together cohesively? So how does that happen? I'm going to show you in this video ways that I save money when I homestead my food forest, herb garden, vegetable garden, and taking care of the animals. So please stay tuned and you'll find hopefully something that will help you save money on your journey as well. Thank you for joining me today. Here we go. So fencing is incredibly expensive if you want to get the big stuff to keep things out. So I need to not only keep deer out of a lot of things, but I also need to keep my animals in a lot of things. And so I need fencing. And since fencing is so expensive, I go to Facebook Marketplace. Here is a roll of heavy duty 4-foot, 4.5 foot cattle fencing. And you can see this is the type that has like the red on top. If you know stuff about fencing, you know this is some pretty heavy duty stuff. And this is a very thick roll, very densely wound. And so there's a lot of fencing on this. And here is a bunch more fencing. And you can see there is chicken wire fencing in there. There is a lot of cattle panel type fencing, big rolls of it. Here's some more of the red stuff, or the red topped stuff, some barbed wire. So I got all of that off of Facebook Marketplace. And I checked Craigslist too, but this is where I found this fencing. And all of that fencing I got for $100. And it was used, but it wasn't used hard. So it's not torn apart. It's not bent out of shape. There might be a couple of places that I can rebend a little bit, but other than maybe 1 or 2 spots out of all the rolls, everything is basically the way that it's supposed to look if you get it out of the store. So I'm going to be able to fence off my entire mountainside for $100, which is about, okay, well, let's just put it this way. 75 feet of that type of fencing at Lowe's is about $100, at least where I am. And so I've got about 400 feet there, and you do the math. That is quite a savings. And that takes something that would have been impossible and makes it very possible for our type of budget. Okay, so another thing that I have are trellises for my vegetables. And I've learned this from many different YouTubers, just looking at garden stuff throughout the years. I think the first place I saw it was Roots and Refuge, but trellises are incredibly expensive. But if you have them in your garden, they can double, maybe even sometimes triple your growing space and area using places that's normally unusable, like your pathways, or just adding to your beds where things can go up and then other things can go flat. So the trellises that we use cost us about maybe $30. Here's an example of one of my trellises. I just put this up because we're going to be using this for grapes. Eventually, in this spot right here, we're going to have steps. And that's just not one of the high priorities of our list right now. So all I had to buy was the 4 T-posts that you see it attached to, and then a cattle panel. And the cattle panel for, I think it's 12 feet long, it was like $22 maybe. And then the T-posts were like another $8 or $10. So for about $30, I get a trellis. And I don't know if you've looked at trellises in the store or not, or even looked into making them, which is a lot of time. And remember, time is money as well, that these trellises end up costing hundreds of dollars. And so if you can get a trellis for $30, that is a huge savings. And it makes gardening easier. It maximizes your space, which means you need, well, for me, less fencing to go around the garden because I don't need to have as big of a garden. And so that helps out a lot and saves me money there. I get a bigger harvest, I get more produce. That saves me money because now I'm not buying as much food, and I can grow more food in the places that I'm not using anymore because I'm growing vertically. Okay, so another thing that we do, or that I do in order to save money, is I buy things small. Now, I might be able to, but there are certain things that are very difficult to grow from seed. And things like berry bushes, things like trees, it gets really difficult. So I don't plant those from seed, but I get them in very small sizes when I buy them. So here is my mulberry bush. You can see that it is quite tall. It towers above me actually, and I need to clip that back. Mulberries love a really good harsh pruning, and so I somehow missed this one. I did the other one earlier, but I haven't done this one yet. But when I got this, I got it from Baker Creek Seeds, and it came as a 2-pack for like $12, and they were about this big. And I got them 2 years ago. This will be their 3rd summer, and you can see how much it's grown. Now I had to wait 2 or 3 years in order to start seeing huge growth like this, but I only had to spend $12 for 2. So in my mind, that's a win. I don't mind waiting as long as eventually it turns in what I need it to turn into. And when I buy fruit trees, I always buy bare root. I've just always found that it's cheaper, they are healthier, they do better in the soil, they have a stronger root system, and they also haven't been stuck in a pot for very long because the people that are harvesting them just dig them out of the field. They've been growing in a field or a orchard for a long time, and then they take them out, and so they haven't been spending their whole life in a pot. I think it's healthier, and it's also a lot cheaper. It saves on shipping, all sorts of wonderful things. So when I find a place that has a type of tree that I would like, that's bare root, that's inexpensive, I snap it up, because you can spend a lot of money on some fruit trees at big name brand places like Stark Brothers, and you could find the same thing for 1/3 of the cost at a place like Tractor Supply. So I found this from Tractor Supply for, as you can see, $14, $13.99, and it's small. This nectarine is small. Now I did prune it because when you stick them in, I just think it's better to prune right away. And it's very tiny. The last nectarine that I put in was 2 years ago, and it looked a lot like this. And look, here it is right next to me, and it's one of my best growing trees. So, oh, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I love nectarines, and I'm very excited about how well this one is doing, and it's flowering this year. Last year it did not flower, so this is just fabulous. Hopefully we don't get a frost too soon or too late in the season and it kills off all these buds. I'll put a sheet out here maybe though if I hear that there's a threat. But I've gotten a Harco nectarine and I've gotten a red gold nectarine from Tractor Supply, and they have grown very well, just as good as the other ones that I get from places like Stark Brothers for $14, where I priced the same tree at Stark Brothers for $39. And now Stark Brothers does come with a 1-year guarantee, and they are so good about that. It's no questions asked. And so if something happens to your tree that you spent $40 on and it dies, they will replace it, which is fabulous. And I like that. And it's kind of like, you know, insurance on your plants. But if you don't have $40 to spend on a tree because you're getting maybe 20 of them or 30 of them, going from $39 to $14 is a big difference. And that's one of the ways that I spend money and I save money. Okay, so another big way that I save money is when I plant things, if I can plant it from seed, I will absolutely do that first and foremost. I will not buy a plant unless it's a tree that I know that I can't grow from a seed very well. Things like these specific varieties of fruit, I can't grow those from a seed. But I can grow things like goji berry. I can grow things, wild cherry, that's a native to where I am. Like, that's a very easy thing to grow from seed. And so I have special buckets that I just kind of set off to the side, and it takes 2 or 3 years for those seeds to germinate, and then 2 or 3 years for them to get big enough to be able to be planted somewhere. But instead of spending the money on bigger trees like those, I spend money on trees that I can't grow from seed. And so then I end up with a bigger variety. So I get the seeds and I get the trees and I get everything that I want. So planting from seed, I do that with all my regular plants, herbs, vegetables, flowers, things like that. Everything is from seeds. This is a hollyhock that I planted last year, and it looked just like this last year, but this year I'm gonna get flowers. And so I had to wait an extra year. I could have bought bulbs and that would have been faster within that same year rather than waiting. But this year I'm gonna get flowers, and the time passed anyways, and so here we are. And it was, instead of maybe $20 for hollyhocks to be here and there and there and over there and over there and over there and way over there, I now get to have like 6 or 7 plants throughout my garden of these hollyhocks that I absolutely loved, and I only had to pay $3 for the seeds. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, to be honest, I got these seeds from a seed swap. So let me tell you about seed swaps. I am convinced that seed swaps are a gardener's best friend. So what I do is in the fall, late summer, once my plants start producing seeds, I go onto Instagram or Facebook and I look for seed swap groups. And it's super easy. You just type in #seed swap group and you'll find open seed swaps that you can join for the cost of shipping, like $10. You gather up a bunch of seeds that you have an abundance of. Like this last year, I collected yellow dock seeds, I collected echinacea seeds, I collected motherwort seeds, tomato seeds, all sorts of different kinds of seeds, and I sent those off. And it doesn't always have to be different varieties, but I like to kind of switch it up. And it can be all one type of thing, and you just make a little packet and you make 100 packets if your seed swap has 100 people in it, and you mail it to one central person with enough money for shipping back, which is about $10 normally, and they will send back one of every type of seed from the other 100 people. So now you've got 99 packets of seeds that you didn't have before. It's kind of like a grab bag, a prize bag. It's the greatest thing ever. So I got these hollyhock seeds from a seed swap, and they're I think it's Negra, it's the black hollyhocks, and they're beautiful. And I can't find those in stores anywhere around here, but they are just stunning. And so now I have 7 of those plants around in my garden, and I didn't even have to pay for the seeds. If you get 99 packets of seeds in the mail, normally that would be, well, let's say $2 a pack. That'd be about $200, right? And $2.99 or $1.99 for a pack of seeds is incredibly cheap. So normally you're paying about $3.50. So imagine $350 for seeds to get those 99 packs, whereas I paid $20 because I did a seed swap. Now I also get vegetable seeds, flower seeds. I get really cool seeds like papaya seeds. I mean, cool things. And if I join 5 seed swaps, I end up with enough seeds to plant my whole garden. And that is a secret in of itself on how to save money. I could do a whole video about that because that is a big deal. So there you go. Do seed swaps. Do them. You won't regret it. And it's like the most exciting mail that you could possibly get in the mail. You open up the package and just seeds, all these seeds, and you don't even know what you're going to be getting, and you can make the piles and you can organize them. And okay, I geek out over organization. Okay, so anyway, seeds are a blessing, and seeds are maybe sort of a disease for me because I just want to have all of them and save them forever, and I want to collect them all, and if I don't have them, I want them. And anyway, there's a rabbit hole there. Did you know that you can plant strawberries from seeds? I thought, surely this must be difficult. And so I planted a couple varieties. I only bought 2 varieties from Baker Creek Seeds because I just wanted to see if I could do it. And I think they all sprouted. I mean, it was really not hard at all. And I did this the first year I started gardening. So I literally knew nothing about gardening or starting seeds. And I was kind of terrible at it. I made so many mistakes. I'll do a mistakes video, I think. You'll probably end up laughing at me. But I grew so many strawberries. Now, strawberries also spread by runners. So if you plant from seed 25 strawberries, you let them grow for a year, you harvest them, split them, plant them again, you now have 100 strawberries, and you do that for a few years, you just got 200 strawberry plants easily for the cost of like $6 because you planted them from seed, you let them spread a little bit, divided them, and started planting where you wanted to. So instead of going to the store and buying the starts, which at Walmart or Lowe's, those are like $3.50 for 1 strawberry plant. If you wanted 200 of those, well, that's a lot of math. That's a lot of money. So do the seeds. You won't regret it. So here are my strawberry plants that I separated. And you can see that my garden is very messy. There's a lot of debris from last year. And I did a video about why I keep my garden messy. There's a whole reason for it, and it's important. Look at all those strawberries. And they're gonna start spreading soon. Actually, it's April. They're probably gonna start blooming soon. I mean, I got strawberries everywhere. And I only had to pay $6. $6. I have a whole mat of strawberries down here. I use strawberries as my ground cover for most of the areas of my garden that's sunny. I have a few places that I use things like lingonberries and wintergreen and stuff like that, but strawberries are my main go-to, and you can see how well they're doing, and they're really doing their job well. Okay, so here, if you can see it, okay, here we go. Here I have a pomegranate tree. Yes, I know. It's hard to tell because it's so little. But I have one here, and I have one over there. You can see by the white flag. And here, let me get a little bit closer. And these are 2 pomegranate trees. They're hardy pomegranate, and I got them from Baker Creek Seeds last year. And they're gonna grow slowly, or at least they did last year. I assume they're gonna do it again this year. But I bought 2 pomegranate for only about $12 again. So if you can find little tiny seedling starts of things that you really want in your garden, get those if you want to save money and plant them immediately. Time will pass no matter what. 5 years from now, you could say, man, I wish I had planted them. Or you could say, man, I'm so glad I got those little things. I couldn't have afforded it at the time, except for the little ones. But now you can't even tell because it's 5 years later. Time goes by no matter what. And here's another way that I save money. And this is big. This is really big. This is a blueberry bush. And it's small, but I grew this from a cutting. Cuttings are the secret to having a bountiful and lush and filled food forest. If you have a blueberry type that you really want in your garden, get 1 plant, let it grow for a couple of years, and then take cuttings at the appropriate time. Put the cuttings in the soil, do what you need to do to take care of those cuttings. And now from 1 plant, depending on how many cuttings you took, you may have 4 plants. You may have 12 plants from that 1 plant. And then in a couple years from that, then you take cuttings from those 12 and you get, 4 from that. And now you have 48 of that type of blueberry. And all you had to do is buy the 1. That is an excellent way to save money. And so I do that with my blueberries, my currants, my gooseberries, my mulberries, my lavender. I do that with my roses. I do that with almost everything that I have. And so cuttings, huckleberries. Oh my goodness, cranberries are the easiest thing in the world to make cuttings of. So you can do this with everything. Figs, do it with figs. Okay, I'm going on a tangent. But cuttings, you get the 1 variety that you really want, and then you let it grow for a little while, and then you take the cuttings, and now you have an abundance. And so that is one of the best ways to save money in a food forest and get all the varieties that you want. Now it's going to extend the time that it takes for that food forest to be filled in and lush and gorgeous, but that's okay. Like I said, time passes by anyways. Okay, another way to save money is to make sure that your fruit trees that you've purchased and bought and spent a lot of money on, like this apple tree right here, is healthy, and you don't have to buy the sprays or the pesticides or anything like that. And one of the ways that you can do that is I have comfrey growing under here. Grow comfrey, feed the soil. Another thing that you can grow is chives. And you can see I have chives growing right over here for them. And that boosts their immunity. You can see that I have, let's see, I have lupine growing, and that feeds the nitrogen in the soil. And then I have these, this is an allium, this is going to be a purple globe allium. As it grows, you're going to see that spike and that poof coming up. Alliums, chives, stuff like that help give immunity. I have pollinators around it. Do you see the thyme that I have near it? I have some hollyhocks. I have things that are going to bring in pollinators, beneficials. Here you go. Here's some bee balm. And these are going to bring in beneficial insects, and they're going to kill the pests. So one of the big costs is maintenance. And so if you can take care of your fruit trees and prevent any kind of diseases or pests before they happen by just like really making your trees healthy, like taking care of your body. If you really make yourself healthy and take care of it, you're gonna be less prone to getting sick, right? So if you can do that for your fruit trees, you won't have to spend all that money on the medicines that take care of the trees and fix the problem. Oh, sorry. that was a slip. That fixed the symptoms, but not the problem. So I was talking to you about seeds. 90% of the herbs in my herbal garden I planted from seed. Now you may have heard from people that herb seeds are notoriously difficult to grow. And I don't think that I have any special green thumb or skill or anything like that. I just paid attention to what the details on the seed packet said and then followed them. So I got that's not even right, probably. It's probably like 99% of the herbs in my herb garden from seeds. So this entire patch of motherwort, I got 20, 30 motherwort plants here, and a lot of them you can't see because they're super little. And I've harvested the roots of motherwort. I have taken out a bunch of motherwort plants and then planted them out in the field. I've separated and divided them. That's another way that you can save money, is by growing from seed one plant like catnip or motherwort or something like that. I mean, if you have seeds, you might as well do more. But let's say you have one plant, divide it, and then you end up with so many more plants. And herbs are especially good at this. So things like peppermint and spearmint and chocolate mint, motherwort, catnip, feverfew, echinacea, yarrow, things like that. Skullcap, you can divide once you've grown it big enough that it's now spreading. And now you have places that you can fill in with plants in other areas of your yard, other parts of your garden. If you have empty places, fill it in with divisions from the plants that are growing and doing their thing by spreading. I hope you loved this video. I'm going to be doing 2 parts of this because there were so many tips that I wanted to share that there will be a part 2 coming out of this, so I can turn these into a slightly shorter videos, because this one is going to probably take an hour if I do the whole thing. So look for 2 parts of this. It's going to be super exciting. I hope to see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please. It helps out so much. And then if you hit that notification bell, you can see when we get the new videos out. Now, have a wonderful day and stay blessed.